So now we have an idea of the currency futures. Currency futures, the standardized contracts from the futures exchange that we can use. Now, if you think about it, when you look at the futures and the forward, we have emphasized one common problem that they have. We have identified that the futures and the forward contracts have got a common problem. What is a common weakness that futures and forward contracts have? Who can help us here? What common weakness are we seeing in these two? What's a common weakness in the currency futures, which we also find in the forward contracts? We notice that you're not able to do one. We're not able to benefit from the favorable movement. When there's a favorable movements in the markets, we're not able to benefit because we have locked in already. So that is the weakness that we have in futures and forward contracts. So then how can we get around this problem? We have an instrument called an option. We have an instrument called an option. An option is an instrument that can enable us benefit from the favorable movements of the currency or exchange rate in the markets. So if there's a favorable movement in the markets, we are saying, if you have an option, you can benefit. So let us look at some aspects of the options. Let's look at some aspects of the options. An option gives the holder the right. An option gives the holder the right but not an obligation. So that's where the clue is. The option imposes on us a right and not an obligation. To do what? It's a right to buy or a right to sell a specific quantity of the specific asset at a fixed price on or before a future date. On or before the future date. So that's what we see in an option. So it's important to notice there that we are talking about a right and not an obligation. And this right entitles you to either buy or sell the item that is mentioned that particular option. So that is the first item to take note of there. What else?
Hello.
Features of an option. The holder has the right either exercise an option or to abandon it. It's as simple as that. So it's either you exercise your option or you simply allow it to lapse if it is not in your favor. So then one can argue that the option puts you in a very powerful position. I agree with you. It does put you in a very powerful position. For instance, look at this situation. Look at this situation. You go to your bank and the bank says there's an option here where you have a right to buy $1 at 18 kwacha. Imagine this option. This is the exercise price. This is what you call the exercise price. And they say, this option, you must exercise it before the 1st of May. So anytime between now and 1st of May, you can exercise your right. You can go in the bank and buy at 18. Now, you're on 1st of May yourself, you have decided to wait. You go in the market, scenario A. The rates now are 20 kwachas. So in the open markets, the rate is 20 kwacha. What do? You're going to exercise your option. That's what we mean here. You exercise your option because you have a right to buy your dollars at 18 kwacha. What of scenario B? Oh, the rates in the open markets have dropped to 16 kwacha. What do? You simply abandon this option. This option is not, so you abandon it. And you just go and buy your currencies in the open markets. So then, you never lose with an option. When there's an adverse movement in the markets, what do? You use your option. If there's a favorable movement in the markets, what do? You simply abandon your option. So one can argue that an option then puts you in a very powerful position. So the simple question is, where is the catch? For this flexibility, where is the catch? Let's continue. We're going to see where the catch is. In this aspect of our discussion, there's types of options that you must be familiar with. A call option, a put option, an over-the-counter option or OTC, and also a traded option. So we need to learn this terminology. We learn this terminology. Let's go through this terminology then. Let's go through this terminology. Call option. So what is a call option? What does it entitle you to? A call option gives its holder the right, but not an obligation to buy. So here, what I want you to take note of is the issue of buying. The call option gives you the right to buy. So that's the right to buy. To buy what? The underlying asset at a specified price. What of a put option? What of the put option? The put option gives its holder. If you're a holder of a put option or a holder of this right, it gives you a right to sell the underlying item. So then, you and me as treasurers of the company, or companies, it's either we get a call option or we get a put option. So in our advice, that's what we'll be telling our companies. We have to advise, do you need a call or a put option? And once we get our futures right, this is just an extension. Is that thinking on the futures we got it? That's the same thinking that we're going to extend here. We're going to extend the same thinking. In terms of expiry dates, remember the example I gave you, that little example. I say I've got a right between now, 23rd of Feb, and the 1st of May. As you may appreciate, an option cannot be open-ended. No, there must be dates. No one can give you a right which is open-ended. It must have expiry date. So in terms of expiry date, we have got an American style option. This is an option that can be exercised at any time up to and including the expiry date. It's like the one that I gave you here, between now and the expiry date. Or European style option, this is an option that can be exercised on the expiry date only on the expiry date. For instance, if I put in that this right that I've given you to buy each dollar at 18 kwacha should be exercised on 1st of May, then this is an example of what we call a European style option. Not so much a significant item in our questions. Option terminology. An option can be described as to there is an excess or strike price, like in the one that I gave you. That 18 kwacha that I gave you, that was what we mean by the excise. So I gave you a right that you can buy your dollars from me at 18 kwacha. This is the excise or strike price. It's in relation to this that you can describe an option as being in the money, out of the money, or at the money. So we continue with this example. So this is a call option. So each one of you in class, you have bought for yourself a call option. You have bought yourself a call option, meaning that you have an option, a right to buy $1 at this price. Scenario number 1 now in the market. So we go to the market. Let's go to the market. So when you go to the market, scenario A, the currency now has moved to 20 kwacha. Scenario B, the currency has dropped to 16 kwacha. Scenario C, the currency is at 18 kwacha. It's against this that we use this terminology that we have here. Would we exercise our option to buy our dollars at 18 kwacha? The answer is yes. So this option is described to be in the money. This option is worth exercising. So an option which is worth exercising, we describe it as being in the money. In the money. What will be the next one? The price in the market is 16. Would you exercise your option to buy the dollars at 18 kwacha? The answer is no. This option is out of the money. What of when the price in the market is at 18 kwacha? You just break even. And this option is described to be at the money. So we need to be familiar with these expressions. So an option may be worth exercising or not worth exercising. Now remember, what raised the question, like in this case, remember, when the price in the market has gone up, you exercise. When it has gone down, don't exercise. So we said, with an option, then you never lose. But the question was, so if you never lose with an option, where is the catch? Well, there must certainly be a catch. Where is the catch? The catch is the premium. That's the catch. This right which you have, you must pay for it. The price at which the option is bought or sold from the seller or option writer. From the seller or option writer. So options have got a source. The source is called an option seller or an option writer. So this originator of an option, he asks for money. So this right is not for free, you pay. And the amount of money that you pay is called a premium. So the catch is that for you to be in this position, you pay a premium, and this can be quite expensive. Some estimates say 5% of the transaction amount. $5% of the transaction amount. 5%. So that can be quite costly. This bit of the discussion, I'll ask you to leave it out for now. I'll handle it separately. The value of an option. The purpose of currency option. What do we need the currency option for? Where there's uncertainty over the receipt or payment of a currency. If you don't know whether that money is going to come, whether that payment will have to be made. If there's uncertainty, don't use the rate fixing instruments like forward and futures. If you may or may not receive the money, use options. To support the tender for an overseas contract. So if there's an overseas contract that you're tendering for, and you expect some foreign currency there, please use an option because you don't know what the outcome will be. To allow publication of price lists for goods in foreign currency. Yeah, use options because you don't know whether you have the money or not. To protect the import or export of price sensitive goods, those goods that are price sensitive. So how do you hedge with the currency option? A company can purchase an option to buy or sell. So you can either purchase a what? A call option or a put option. To sell a quantity of currency at a future date at a fixed exchange rate. If the strike price, in our example, is more favorable, the company can exercise the option. Remember, in the market, it was 20. If the strike price is less favorable, the company can allow the option to lapse. This price of 18 is not favorable. The company must pay for this right in form of the option premium. That's where the catch is. What are the drawbacks of the option? The cost is about 5% of total amount of foreign exchange covered. That's quite a lot. Options must be paid for as soon as they are bought. That's a liquidity problem, isn't it? Tailor-made options lack negotiability. Now, what's a tailor-made option? What is a tailor-made option? This is what we call an OTC, over the counter, or what we call negotiated. So where can you find this tailor-made option? Tailor-made options, which you have agreed between you and the bank. These are for you alone. They meet your needs. The same bank that offer forward contracts, the same banks that offer forward contracts, they also have some over-the-counter options. The same banks. So when you go to the bank, if they tell you that they have a forward contract, you ask them that I want an option. And most of the banks will offer you an option. They'll offer you a rate like the example I've given, where they offer you 18 kwacha, but they're going to charge you a premium. Traded options are not available in all currencies, just like we saw for futures as well. So it means that our ability to use them is limited. because them not being available in all currencies. At this point, we're going to go straight into an exam question. At this point, we go straight into our exam question, and we want to deal with the item that we left. So we've got this question here. Let's use it. We want to learn how to read this table. So let's learn how to read this table together. This table is fairly standard. This is what we call a traded option. An option that you find in an options market. And normally we say a futures and options, or options and futures market. So the same markets where we futures. That's the first point to take. Currency options have contract size for everybody in the market. If somebody wants what is specific to them, let them go in OTC. Let them go to their bank and get that. If you come to a market like this, you find standardized products. Now, I think there was a lot of questions that when we come to futures, Mr. P, what should we focus on? And by the time we concluded, what did we say? What should we focus? The currency.
The currency of the contract side.
Yes, even here, you must note that one. So these options give you a right. These options that we are dealing with here, they give you a right. A right to do what? A right to buy or a right to sell. To sell what? To sell what? The pound. So that's the first item to note. So when you come here, we want you to talk about the pound. Regardless of what your exposure is, you need to tell us what you want to do with the pound. Exercise price quotation. Exercise price quotation. This one, exercise price. What does this 1.6 mean? What does this 1.62 mean? The answer is here. These are dollars on a single pound. We get it. Eh? So here, this $1.6. Premium, which we have introduced you to. These are cents per pound. These are cents on a single pound. Where are these? It's these small numbers that you have here. These small numbers that you have here. Are we together? So these are cents. They're not dollars, no. These are cents. You get it? These are cents. That's what they are.
Mr. P,
Yes, please.
just a quick one on that point. So we'll know that these are cents if it's highlighted on top there to say premiums cents,
Yes.
$1.
Yes.
They always indicate that.
They always indicate.
All right.
Now, 1.55 cents is a very small amount in terms of if you express this in dollars, it's something like this. That's what it reads. 1.55 cents. That's what it read. So just be careful. These here, these are dollars. These are dollars. These are cents. Now, let us make sense out of this. Let's see if these figures make sense. It can be assumed that option contracts expire at the end of the relevant month. Now, let us read this table further. Let's take, what is a call option? A right to do what?
To buy.
Sell. To buy.
What is a put? What of a put option? It's a right to do what?
To sell.
Sell.
There we are. Now let's read this. What does it mean? You, Gilbert, you can
Yes,
go to this exchange and tell them that me, I want this one here. I want the right. I want this right. I want the right to buy. To buy what? To buy what? The right to buy a pound. And I want the right to buy at 1.6. And I want the right which expires 3 months from now. We'll say we can give you that right to buy at 1.6. You're going to pay us this. These are the cents you are going to pay us for every pound that you want to buy at 1.6. Somebody says, me, I don't care. You know, I've got the money. I want the right to buy at 1.62. This person who wants to buy at 1.62 is being charged 0.98. The one who wants to buy at 1.6 is being charged 1.55 cents. Is it logical? Is it fair? If you want to buy your pounds at 1.6, you pay more. If you are willing to pay at 1.62, you pay less. Is the pricing of these options fair? Is it logical? That's my question to you.
Somehow, yes, it is logical because
You're right. You're right. Go ahead.
The option fee is being determined by how much you are being charged, definitely, in terms of the excise price.
How favorable it is. If you want to buy at a very good price, you must be prepared to pay what?
A higher option fee.
So there's some logic. There's some logic. Let's come to selling. Let's come to selling this side. Now the story has changed. The right to sell a pound. If you want a right to sell a pound at 1.6, you pay that. If you want a right to sell at 1.62, you pay that. Is it logical? Yes. If you want a very good selling price, you must be prepared to pay what?
A higher price of the option.
That is how we read these tables. Are we okay with the table? How we read the table? Okay. If we are okay now, we are going to set up a hedge. Let's set up the hedge. The good news is that options are the easiest instruments to set by our students. So let us go here. Let us take off. Okay. Currency option. Currency option. Step by step, you have step 1. A. The first question is call or put. That's the first question you need to answer for me. That's the first question you're going to answer for me. That is the first question you're going to answer for me. Let's answer this question together. Do you go for a call or a put? Do you go for a call or a put? The answer is we need to go back to the currency market. Now I hope you remember the facts here. Who remembers the facts? What was our exposure? What was our exposure?
We were expecting a receipt, or is it of 20 million euros?
What was the exposure in this question?
$2,400.
2 million.
Sorry, 2,400,000.
And this was a net
A
one?
payment.
A net payment.
Net
Net
payment.
payment.
Yes. So this company had this exposure. When was this? Three months from now. 3 months from now. Okay, so let's just break this to be too long.